Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, and I love helping women align with their life purpose using ancient wisdom so that they confidently and courageously live the amazing lives they know they deserve. It's all about living the goddess lifestyle as I see it, and living the goddess lifestyle includes or involves understanding and knowing your cycles. And so I want to share an experience that I am having in hopes that it will inspire you, even if you don't use astrology, to find some kind of way to keep up with your cycles. And part of the reason I love astrology as well as numerology is there is a long tradition that goes with these systems. And I've used them in my own life and have found that they work, they are accurate, and I see it reflected in my life. So, one major theme or one major transit that I'm experiencing. So, if you don't know what a transit is, let me explain that first. So, in our chart, we have our sun sign, which is what most people know, but all of the planets are in our chart. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at the chart for Maurice White of Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I'll just show you really quickly um, what I'm talking about. So everyone knows their sun sign. So his birthday is December the 19th. And so, everyone would say, oh, you're Sagittarius. But there are other indicators in our chart. This is why we're also different. There's so many people born when the sun is in Sagittarius, but why are they so different? And that's because from year to year, so the ones who are born in Sagittarius of the same year, they might be a little bit alike, a little more alike. What would make them different is the moon. Where's the moon? That typically is what is going to bring a lot of variation to people who are born the same year, same sun sign. It will be this moon. Will give all of them a whole different personality, a whole different way of being, even though they're all Sagittariuses. So yeah, we have the sun, but we have a moon sign. We have a sign for our Venus, our Mars, our Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Oh my gosh, it's an infinite number of indicators in this chart. It's a lot. And so I'm going to stop the share. So when one of those planets, say for instance, his sun and his Mercury were right there together, when one of those planets has, let's say, where is Venus right now? Let's say Venus is in Sagittarius right there today by his sun and Mercury. Maybe I should not have taken this down. Then that's called a transit. Okay. So this chart, and I know some of you already know this, but I just want to make sure people who don't understand astrology, they glaze over, because a lot of times, those of us who know astrology, we don't take time to explain it in a way that would make them say, okay, I can sit and listen and actually catch on. And let me just say one more thing before I move on. You can always go and get an astrology reading. You don't even have to fully understand astrology. Just get a reading and somebody can tell you what your transits are right now. But let's just say these planets right here, we call these in astrology the natal placements. The moment he was born, this is where all the planets were. This is why time of birth is so important. Find the time of birth. What is your time of birth? What is your children's times of birth? Make sure your nieces, your nephews, I put them all in my little system because I understand the importance of the time of birth. So, because that moment, 8:28 a.m. on December 19th, this is where all the planets were. Okay. So when you see here, it says with transit. So if he was alive, and we honor his spirit, we're just using his chart as an example. But if he was alive still, we'll just use this Venus. So here we have Venus on the day he was born in Aquarius is very close to this green Saturn. And this Saturn is where Saturn is today. The making of this video is April the 7th, 2021. It is at this point very close to this Venus. Is it right there at the Venus? Yeah. Oh my God. It's weird that I'm looking at this and it's an exact transit today, if he was alive. But anywho, that's called a transit because the planet that's in the sky is meeting the planet that's in the birth chart. And so when you have a transit that lasts a long time, then it will create profound shifts and changes in your life. And those of us who study astrology know that the most important transits are Uranus, the Pluto, where's Pluto? Pluto and Neptune. Where is Neptune today? Yeah, Neptune. Because they take years to move past, oh my gosh, like Pluto can be in a sign for, I think, as little as like 14 years and upwards of like 20 something years. Neptune is similar. And Uranus is probably going to spend about 10 years in the sign, 7 to 9 years. I don't remember all the details like that, y'all. But anywho, they spend a very long time. So each one of these little tick marks that you see, these are called degrees. And so that planet on that degree, it could stay there on 1, maybe 2 degrees per year. Like Pluto, it might go over 2 degrees, maybe 3 in 1 year. That's a freaking long time, especially if you have a planet there. That's a freaking long time. And so when people don't know that they're having a Pluto, a Neptune, or Uranus transit, they just feel like, okay, life is like going to hell in a handbasket. But no, it may be that planet is affecting your planet. Now, there's other aspects that we could talk about, like this Saturn. It does affect the planets that are right across from it or at 90 degrees from it, but I won't get too deep into it. Just know it's multiple types of transits. It's not all the time right when that planet is right there by your planet. They do have interactions from different angles, is what we call it. Okay, so I am experiencing a Neptune transit. It's probably, well, I have 2 major transits that are long-term transits. There is the Neptune transit and the Uranus transit. Now, I've been experiencing the Uranus transit since like 2000, let's see here, maybe 18, 19, something like that. Oh, Uranus. Oh my goodness, Uranus is really giving me a run for the money. So that's how long I've been in it, and here we are, 2021, and I'm still dealing with Uranus. And then this Neptune transit has been about the same amount of time, since about 2000, maybe 19, easily. I remember, it was 2019 that I first was like, oh my gosh, I feel it. Because these planets, when you start having a transit, it will last. You'll start feeling it before it's actually what we call exact, where it's affecting that degree, the degree that your planet is on. And so when I first experienced it, first and foremost, I had, been getting deeper and deeper into astrology and had realized I had already had a Neptune transit. And let me tell you about Neptune. Neptune will wreck you. All right. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Okay. Anybody who's had a Neptune transit, that's some transits are supportive and some transits are, um, let's just say they're very impactful and it doesn't necessarily feel good. They will alter you. Because see, when we feel good, it's like, oh, I'm willing to make this change, and you just feel so in the flow, right? So we do have transits that create that effect. And then we have transits that are like, you know what? I don't want to change. I don't want to change. Okay, I guess I'm going to change. So, I didn't know anything about astrology around 2015, which is when I had my first Neptune transit to one of my planets. And it wrecked me. It completely, I almost got in so many car accidents because it was transiting my Mercury. And don't be shocked by the things that I'm talking about. Just hear me out, okay? Just listen so that if you don't know about astrology, because the ones that know astrology already know when I'm talking Neptune, they like, oh, you live to tell the story, sister. So yes, I my Mercury was conjunct right with the planet Neptune, is what we call it. And it was like my mind, like I could not see certain things out when I was driving, and I would just go through lights that were red. One of the most terrifying things that ever happened. I'm like, this is not who I am. What's going on? And I could not get myself together. It was like a very hard time. And I remember coming out of it, like, I remember when I finally came out, I still didn't know about astrology. I was just like, I don't know what happened. And then because people witnessed it, then I had to deal with people thinking I was like a dingbat and stuff. I'm like, I'm not a dingbat. I don't know what just happened. So once I began to learn astrology, first of all, I was able to grant myself some grace and some love over the horrendous experience I had with that first Neptune transit. And then when I realized it was coming in 2019, I felt just a touch of it. And it was the exact same way. All my energy drained, because now what I'm experiencing is a Neptune transit to my sun. I felt all my energy start draining. But it was just for a short while, because the planets move forward and then they move back. All of them except for the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon, they never retrograde. All the other planets, they're going to retrograde. And so it got close to my sun. It was like, okay, hey, you need to pay attention because I'm coming back. So I knew 2020 was going to be a big year, because the transit was going to become exact where Neptune is right by my sun. And I knew that I was going to have to change the type of work I was doing, from teaching cardio fitness, which I had already been feeling like I'm sick of cardio. I think it's okay for everybody, and I do get my cardio in. I have to, but I did not want to teach it. I was like, I'm done with all this cardio, because it was wrecking me. So I spent 2019 hustling to start taking the online business to a new level. Because I was like, I just don't think I'm going to be able to teach with a Neptune transit to my sun, because our sun is energy. And sure enough, right when Neptune started transiting my sun is when the whole world shut down because of the pandemic. And it just hasn't moved very far away from my sun. It gave me just a little bit of a break, but it's just been there. It's been there. Now, it doesn't bring transits bring positive and challenging energy. Okay, positive and negative, if we want to look at it like that. It will bring a mix of both, and a lot of it is how much are you working with the energy and working against it, which is why it's so important to understand your transits to understand what is it that you should be focused on at this particular time in your life. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, yes, I have been taken out of teaching, because I was like, I was done with teaching. I really just did not want to teach anymore. So I did not start online classes and all that kind of good stuff. But what happened was I began to shift my consciousness from being somebody who teaches fitness to saying I'm an online business owner. I am a teacher, a healer, a priestess. I'm anything but teaching dance and fitness, anything but that, which I love it. And I'm not saying I'll never teach it again, but so that's what Neptune does. It dissolves things, and it's dissolving what's on my sun. And one of the ways it's described is it refines things. And so the sun has to do with our identity and how we shine and with our gifts. And so, yes, someone with a Pisces sun could be somebody who's very artsy, into dance, also into spirituality. And so, think about Neptune is the ocean, and it's a very slow, subtle transit. So I give thanks for that, because I do have this Uranus transit going on that is, it's electricity. I got one that's water, and then I got one that's electricity. And so it's like giving me this opportunity to slowly but surely release and let go of. And that's what I've been working on all year, is letting people know I have retired from teaching dance and fitness. It doesn't mean that that's not a part of who I am and part of what I love. Don't think that you will never see me say, hey, I'm going to lead you in this song or whatever. But my identity is no longer fitness instructor, dance teacher. Another way that this energy has refined me is, narrowing down, who do I want to work with? Well, I've always only really worked with women. Occasionally men will request a reading or whatever. But for the most part, women are who are attracted to my energy. And they are the ones who come and say, hey, I like what you're talking about. They book readings, and, you all will sign up for my inner circle. And so, and I know it's because I do present girly, is like how my husband, he was like, your Zumba is so girly. I'm like, what? I'm a girl. But it's my mission. I remember being a little girl saying, I want to help women and children. I knew that from little girl. Where did I go to college? All women's school. Like, I've always known women, this is my tribe, this is my vibe, this is my work, and I'm here for the bros. Okay, I'm here for y'all. But this transit, it made me say, I've got to narrow it down. I have got to narrow it down, because that's what it's time for me to do. And it's part of, business ownership. You must decide, who is your ideal client, your ideal customer? What do they look like? What do they talk like? What do they sound like? And the more I just looked at who's commenting on the videos, who's requesting the readings, and who's looking at my inner circle. And all the bros that know me, they send their friends to me. They're like, hey, I can't do what you can do to help her. So it's the bros even know. Send them to Tyra Omilade. She gonna help you out. Okay. So me and the bros, we got this nice little thing going on, right? Another thing is, I became very clear. I am a part of the Ifa tradition. However, my first initiation was into a goddess tradition, and that's what I'm going to bring more into the world. I'm operating from goddess. I'm operating from divine feminine. I'm operating from helping women, figure out their way of living within their own divine feminine nature. So this has been refining me and refining me and refining me. And it's shifting my subconscious. It's shifting my whole inner world. And another thing that a Neptune transit will do is it will take away anything that's there. It dissolves everything. And what it really wants to do is to dissolve anything that should not be there. Okay. So if you would just continue to listen to my sharing of this, it just will help you to begin to think about, how do I identify my cycle? Which one am I in right now? And what's the mandate of the cycle? Because one of the mandates of a Neptune cycle, is let it go and complete and utter trust in the divine. Oh my God, gosh. I'm telling you, I have just been riding on the wings of the divine over the last year. Um, but yeah, it's about knowing that everything will be taken care of. This is like, actually, for those of you who have a lot of Pisces energy, one of the mandates of Pisces is to understand that you have to trust that the universal energy is going to take care of you. That it won't be by your own doing. That you are here to bring divine love and light to the world, and you just have to trust everything's going to be taken care of. Surrender. Wow. And when you have a Neptune transit, it doesn't matter what your sign is. If Neptune is transiting one of your planets in one of these challenging ways, this is your mandate. And let's see here. So yeah, it's slowly but surely shifting me. I will say this time around, because sometimes I get a little teary-eyed, because this is not an easy transit. I'm I've always considered myself to be a very high energy person. And to not have energy is hard, is very hard. And all of this is mixed into with a hormonal shift that's happening. So my moon is being transited right now by Uranus. My moon has been transited by Uranus at least for a year. So all of this mixed in with perimenopause it has me feeling drained a lot. And if I didn't know that I was going through this transit, I would think that I would be so frustrated. I would feel like a failure. Because, I've been in the fitness industry and the wellness industry. And, it's like we're supposed to know what to do. Well, let me tell you something. Folks need to learn more about astrology. They could do so much better helping people with their health and wellness if they would help folks understand. When you're in a Neptune transit, you need to take it easy. A Neptune transit is a yin energy. And I remember when I have to first start telling people, y'all, I'm in a yin phase. I don't have a lot of energy. I'm not trying to be all excited and hyped. Do I have those moments like when at my birthday? Anytime you have a birthday transit, that means your birthday is right there, like 1 to 2 days before, day of, a day or so beyond your birthday. Energy galore. I was like, this is my real self. This is how I feel. I feel so amazing. And then, of course, as the sun is moved into another sign, I'm like, oh, where's my energy? But I'm granting myself grace. Whereas the first time I had a Neptune transit, I just kept teaching, even though it was wrecking me, and it's given me, again, it's about that refinement. And so it's asking me to refine your eating, refine your, how you move your body, refine your approach to your health and wellness. And I feel like it's giving me an opportunity to reset myself as I move into this last stretch of my life. I don't know. Maybe I have another 50 years. I don't know. But I can assure you, once we start getting older, it behooves us to take care of ourselves. It really does. And so it's given me that opportunity to do that. Another thing for me about this transit, this Neptune transit, is it's actually a little bit of a lonely transit. Um, I'm social. I'm pretty social, but it's just created. Um, Neptune, you might just be out somewhere on an island. Think about the ocean. You might be somewhere out on a boat when you're dealing with the ocean, right? May not be close to a whole bunch of people. And so, you know, I've done well during the pandemic, largely because I have been learning more about business and taking classes and just different things like that. It just has kept me busy. After I got the coronavirus, after I got COVID, I did realize, oh, I can't be working all the time. I'm in a workaholic. She needs to take a chill pill, which has given me time, which is like, okay, well, I think I'm a workaholic because then I won't feel lonely. um, and so slowing down, it's like, wow, I feel really lonely sometimes. We're in a pandemic, and I have not yet gotten vaccinated. And even when I do, I'm not going to go hang out with people. I'm just not, because I don't understand this. And having coronavirus, whoa, I did not realize how much I've been traumatized until I'm like, no, I cannot go hang out with people right now because I just need to understand how this really works. Right. So, but then I started thinking to myself, you know what? I think that this Neptune transit is mandating that I stay in isolation. It's going to end, not for a while. Let me see here. 20, I think I will still be dealing with this somewhat even in 2022, 2023. That's how slow this planet moves. But it won't be as harsh as it is or as intense as it is right now, where it's just right there. And so I said, okay, I can accept that right now I, to a certain degree, need to stay in isolation. Well, for the most part, I go to the grocery store and stuff like that. If I were to see people out in public, I'm going to talk. Okay, I'm social. um, of course, with my mask on. I'm going to talk with my mask on. So please know I'm socially distancing and keeping the mask on. But if I see folk out in public that I know, I might shoot them a little wave. But anywho, I it came to me that perhaps I'm alone because I need to be with myself. I need to know what it is I need to make these changes that are happening. Another good part of this transit is it's very spiritual, and it's a part of my work. I'm a spiritual worker. And so it is bringing more healing tools my way. Like who I am today, April 7th, 2021, is almost totally different from where I was last year at this time. It's night and day almost. And I have so many more healing tools and am learning more and doing deeper dives within myself and feeling more and more like a channel, feeling more and more confidence actually. It's helping me to be more confident in my healing energy, my wisdom gifts. So it is bringing goodness. And so to a certain degree, I'm thinking I need this time alone. I was thinking this morning, I'm in a monk phase where I'm just in my little monastery right here, my own little monastery, just tucked away, doing my spiritual work. And there's going to be a point in time when I come back out and more in the world. I will say the transits that I see for myself coming up, it's a lot of change and transformation and it's like introverted type energy or whatever. I'll just touch on the Uranus just a little bit because I've just gone on and on and on about this Neptune, because the Neptune is the one that is making me sometimes cry. And wow. The Uranus transit is more of electricity. And Uranus is about being unique in who you are and walking to the beat of your own drummer. And this planet also brings about change um, that needs to happen, but you weren't making it happen. Now, I've had 3 planets transited by Uranus. And one of the reasons I knew this is a no joke transit is when Uranus first moved into Taurus, because I have 3 planets in Taurus. That is when I experienced shocking pain in my neck. It happened like overnight. It was like right when this transit happened. It was just a short period of time that Uranus came into um, Taurus, and then it moved out and moved back into Aries. And that short period of time that it moved into Taurus, Taurus rules the neck. And I have a lot of Taurus energy. And it all depends on where your planets are. Like some people have planets in the later degrees of Taurus. Well, mine are in the earlier degrees of Taurus. And so just moving in, even though it wasn't right there by my planet, just moving into Taurus, it shook me. It rocked me. And one day I was at a performance, and this is when my perimenopause was at its worst. Like, oh my gosh. The people who I was performing with, they were like, we don't really like her right now. She is a biatch. I didn't mean to be, I eventually was able to figure out how to manage my symptoms. But that day I went off. And I don't know if I really knew that I was going off, to be honest with you. I was just irritated and agitated. I had driven into Nashville, which has the worst traffic ever, in my opinion. And it took me forever to get to this school. That should not have taken me forever to get there. It was like in the middle of the day, traffic everywhere. And this city is not built for all this traffic. Okay. So by the time I get there, I'm pissed. And I don't even know why I went off on my friend. Cause like he was just living his best life, just getting there. Like, I mean, he was not doing anything that was yell worthy. I'm not a yeller. I don't go off on people. I mean, I was like, what are you doing? Park over here. Like, it was nothing. Like, I'm like, for real. When I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, they needed to do an intervention on me. Anywho, in that moment, my neck, I was like, ooh, I feel like something's wrong with my neck. That was a long, slow journey to getting healed up. Like, oh my gosh, I had to go to so many chiropractic appointments. I was so uncomfortable that weekend. I had just so happened to have a doctor's appointment on Monday because this performance was on Friday. It was so horrible. When that lady gave me that medicine, I was like, give it to me. Because I don't typically take medicine. I can bear the pain until I can, get it worked out typically. I don't even remember what she gave me. I think she gave me some muscle relaxers and it was something else. I don't remember. It was only one of them that I took that really worked. Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, this Uranus in Taurus is no freaking joke. And so Uranus, as it has gotten closer, well, okay, let me just stick with the moon because I could talk about the other ones. As it has gotten, really and truly the whole time in Uranus, all these planets that have been transited, my Mars, my Saturn, and my moon, they have made me change the way I work. And they've changed my work habits. And they have made me say, don't nobody put me in a box. I dare anybody. I'm not having it. You ain't going to put me in no box. You can talk to people who hear me talk. I'm like, y'all ain't going to put me in no box. Ain't nobody put me in a box. I walk to the beat of my own drummer. Because that's what happens when Uranus shows up. Uranus is like, hey, baby, it's time to be free. All right. So that has been something that has been very interesting. And also when Uranus transits your moon, especially the kind of transit I'm having, It'll bring on that menopause, honey. It will bring on, if you later in life, it'll bring on that menopause. If you're not later in life, it can mess up your hormones. It'll shift them hormones. It'll shift them hormones. Y'all better learn about them hormones out there. Y'all better learn about, that's how we really should be eating according to our hormones. All right. Because man, yeah. Uranus and Aries, humble the system. Because Aries is a sign that has to do with oh, hold on. Yeah. Yeah. Uranus is a sign that has to do with uh in my chart, Aries has to do with the health and wellness. I'm sorry, I got distracted by a call. Has to do with health and wellness. And so yeah. Uranus had me doing all kinds of research while it was there on health and wellness. And that's when I was like, I should have been eating according to my hormones. Okay. Okay. I figured I got you. I got you, Uranus. Thank you. Woo. So yes, 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 yes. I hope that this helps you to understand we have cycles, whether you are consciously aware of the cycles or not. But my question is, why suffer? Why struggle? We have so many people out here doing astrology now. You can go to, I don't know where. I think Cafe Astrology has transit reports or something like that. If you don't want to pay somebody, I say pay somebody, because the reports, they're going to give you a good guide. I believe in reports. I used to use them all the time. They'll give you a good guide. And actually, it's hearing people just do general astrology reports and me, but it was specific kinds, okay? Because it's not just where the sun is. Like, to me, where the eclipse is, that's what sold me on astrology. Like, this is true. As my mom would say, this is the true truth right here. These eclipses, what they talking about in this video. Oh my goodness. That's what showed me. Oh, okay. I see what the focus is. I see why I have this interest. I had to see why I have this leaning. Okay. So the reports can give you that in general. But when you're working with somebody who's doing your reading for you, so for instance, if I were to go to somebody and say, hey, I'm going through this transit. As a matter of fact, I did get a reading from an astrologer. And I was like, I just need somebody else to look at my chart besides mine, because I know I see what's coming. But of course, I'm like freaking out at that at the it was the Uranus transit to my moon. I'm freaking out, like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? And she was like, oh my goodness, like, you really gonna become a whole new person. And when she said that, I was like, that was what I thought was gonna happen. So now it's confirmed. And I could already feel it. I could already feel the change is coming. I am shifting and becoming somebody new. So they can help you to troubleshoot. Okay, this is what I'm experiencing, and this is what I'm focused on. Because see, say for instance, for me, I have a huge focus oftentimes on health and wellness. It's just, I've always been this way. Even as a little girl, I was health conscious, and it's in my chart. And so if I go to somebody and I know that I'm having, say, for instance, my moon being transited by Uranus, and I'm saying, well, I'm going through all of this and, I'm having this experience, then they could say, well, this is the focus of your health and wellness when Uranus is transiting your moon. But other things that could happen when your moon is transited is your whole day-to-day routines and operations could be thrown off, because the moon really is like how it tells a lot about how we focus, And if I realize, man, I'm a little bit extra cold right now, like I don't really have like a lot of huggy like I'm used to. If the Uranus is transiting your moon, you might just be more detached. Now, I'm not more detached right now because that Neptune on my sun has me very, very emotional. And there's other things in my chart that I'm ready to get a little detached, because I'm telling you, I'm one big feel right now. Just one big feeling. That's it. One big feeling. Okay. Anywho, I hope that anybody has even watched this video and gotten to the end, but yeah, I hope that this makes sense. I hope that y'all are catching on to why it's important to know your transits. Of course, I do readings. I did not even actually create this to say, hey, get a reading from me. But let me tell you, I'm passionate and I'm not going to steer you wrong. I can do your reading for you. I can do your reading for you. Half of what I tell you, you already know. The other half, I might see something coming down the pipeline. But there's a lot of people out there doing readings. Go to whoever you feel good about getting a reading from. And yeah, understand what your cycles are. And perhaps even, and maybe I need to do this, take some classes that will give you the foundation for how to keep up with your transits. But what I actually find before I end, because I'm getting ready to end, what I actually find with most of the people who get readings from me is I will say, these are the overarching themes that you are focused on right now. And astrology, you can get sort of specific with dates. Like around this time, this is what you can expect to happen. They just take it, and because we know the goddess-centered lifestyle allows us to really know better than the person who's doing the reading for you, really how this is going to be applied. But what they do is they take what I've told them and they can see it come up, and now they know how they're better equipped in how to make a decision. And so it doesn't take people like remembering, okay, what transit is this? It just is like, okay, I got my specific reading. I know what's going on with me for this year. And so I'm just going to work with these themes that this lady who does these readings said, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to be focused on. And it, from my experience, they're soaring. Now, that does not mean, because some people I get on, I'm like, I'm like, how does Pollyanna tell somebody, you got some stuff coming down the pipeline? Because I always know it can manifest in a beautiful, beautiful way, but a lot of it depends on how willing are people, are they willing to make the change? And so I did a reading for somebody, and I was like, I really do think you're going to have some change come in your career. And when I can see people like, no, it's like, okay, well, let's look at what you have and how you can work it out. And then if you have to make a significant change, let's talk about what that might look like. And sure enough, it happened. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I don't believe, it's not a belief. I know that all of these transits that we experience happen for our highest and our greatest good. Period. What it take? Happen for our highest and greatest good. So, some of them don't feel so good. And, but if you know it's coming, I don't know, it just doesn't hurt as bad. This is Tyra Omilade. I hope that this has been helpful to you all. And yeah, do you know your cycles, goddess? Do you know what cycle you're in right now? What is the focus so that you can maximize this time for yourself? Thank you so much for watching goddessbodymindspirit.com to learn more about what I share, to request a reading, and to also join my inner circle where I teach about these kinds of things on a regular basis. All right, y'all take care. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Peace and